Hello and welcome to the General's Reviews. I'm Chris McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80 from the Full Force podcast, and I'm joining Justin Bell from What's on Joe Mind and General's Joe's to bring you this review of the Vitruvian hacks Stheno, Eurayle and the Amazon Warrior from Boss Fight Studio. Before Justin takes a look at the figures, let's have a quick look at some background on Stheno. In Greek mythology, Stheno was the eldest of the three Gorgon sisters and was said to be the most formidable, having killed more men than all of her siblings combined. She was the daughter of sea gods Phorcys and Ceto, who were also brother and sister, and was immortal, unlike her sister Medusa. Both Stheno and Eurayle were turned into Gorgons by Athena for standing with their sister Medusa after she was raped by Poseidon. Bloody gods. She tends to be depicted as a thin female with red snakes for hair, but early descriptions gave her a scaly head, a boar's tusks, bronzed hands, protruding tongue, glaring eyes, and a snake around the waist as a belt. Fashionable. Boss Fight have created a dazzling and highly detailed version of Stheno, breathing life into an often overshadowed character. Before we get into Eurayle and the Amazon Warrior, let's see what Justin has to say about the figure.
Hey there, tonight we're taking a look at the second installment of the Vitruvian Hacks Kickstarter shipment. I received mine a few weeks ago, but I've been toiling away the hours doing written reviews and also building a great new archive at vitruvianfacts.com. For the past 2 or 3 weeks I've been eating, drinking, breathing, living, absorbing the greatness of the Vitruvian Hacks toy line. And the most amazing thing is even after 3 weeks of kind of consuming everything about them in my 24 hours a day in my toy life, I'm still loving them, still finding different reasons to appreciate them. So anyway, if you want to check out vitruvianfacts.com, you can kind of see this new online archive featuring all of these Vitruvian Hacks toys, the first couple of Kickstarter shipments of them anyway. It's been a labor of love, but it's maybe dangerously late in posting some of these YouTube looks at the fantastic figures. Kind of doing all the coding and all the written reviews has slowed this process down a little bit. But we're jumping right into it now, and I'm going to cover these a little bit differently this time around, breaking them up into a few separate videos, I believe probably 4 separate videos. If you saw the little animated intro by Chris from the Full Force podcast, you'll know I'm kind of covering these a little bit of a different way. I'm not going to do it wave by wave, and I'm certainly not going to do them all individually. That would take forever. So I'm kind of breaking them up a little bit. We're looking at the ladies, kind of the ladies first. We're going to look at some soldiers as the second one. We're going to look at the 2 new Gorgons as the third, and then covering some of the more high-level characters with the fourth. So here we're kind of covering Stheno, Eurayle, and the Amazon Warrior. And I'm going to say right up front, I'm probably going to butcher these names like you wouldn't believe, because I don't know about you, but I wasn't around in ancient Greek land. And yeah, I know I looked at Wikipedia to see what they recommended for pronouncing the names, and I think I'm getting them mostly right, but maybe not. And I'm just spinning Stheno around because you can't really appreciate this figure without looking at the crazy snake hair she's got. And as a father with 2 daughters, I absolutely love the fact that Boss Fight Studio is cramming so many females into their toy line. And not just females in general, but female figures that are excellently designed, really well built. And Stheno is the one I'm covering first, obviously. She is the elder matron of the 3 Gorgon sisters, kind of the queen mother, if you will, the older sister of the 2. And you can really see, just by looking at her, how gorgeous she is. This elaborately sculpted armor, this great snakeskin skirt that's kind of along her backside here with all the texture and the nice little pattern of the snakeskin there. She's got some crazy armored leg guards with like some points and stuff like that. It's a really kind of an older sorceress kind of look. She looks regal and deadly. Kind of like, the elder sorceress of the Gorgon race. She's very intimidating on the shelf. She really stands out, especially with this absolutely crazy level of detailed snake hair. It's just insane. The intricate sculpting, like every individual scaled surface of these snakes is lovingly crafted. They actually stand out on the surface there. I don't remember which of the 2 amazing sculptors, whether it was Fred Axon or Dave Proctor, sculpted this particular figure. Whoever it is did an absolutely spectacular job. And you'll see throughout this video that I'm having some challenges getting her to stand. So, I mean, obviously, they did a great job really designing this really exceedingly elaborate head sculpt with all of these crazy snakes. And it's really cool because you kind of get the feeling that, she's the older sister, so she's had time to really grow her hair out. I can't imagine, Gorgon's sisters cut their hair. It'd be kind of like killing a bunch of snakes. That'd be pretty gross. So I'm not sure how that all works. But anyway, she's got really crazy, twisting cobra serpents that come out of her head, which is absolutely amazing. But that unfortunately also makes her a little bit top heavy. Her head is, weighs more than the rest of her body. She can kind of tip, up and down a little bit, which is unfortunate, but she looks really nice. And so on display, she's fantastic. You just have to be aware that you want to take precautions to ensure that she doesn't tip over. And so that's really where you have to be careful with this particular figure. Another thing that kind of adds to that problem is that with these bare feet, the first run of female bare feet, they kind of, in order to make them really small, they also had to kind of make the holes on them a little bit thinner, so they don't work on the stand very well, which is unfortunate too, because not only do you have a figure that is top heavy anyway, but not being able to stand on a stand real well makes her an exceptional challenge when it comes to posing her. But there's kind of a workaround for that. Anybody who's been following the Vitruvian hacks stuff at all is familiar with the skeletons and the fact that they've released little kind of foot clasps in order to help the skeleton stand on the stand. So interestingly, those clasps also fit on Stheno's feet, on the bare feet. So that helps a little bit. She still is quite top heavy, but by using those little clasps, she can at least stand on the stand a little bit better, which does help a little bit. Especially, it helps with her a little bit. It really helps with Eurayle. Eurayle. I'm going to mix those up, so I apologize up front. Anybody who's a Greek historian is going to probably yell at me throughout this whole video. But anyway, so yeah, the barefoot issue is a problem with her. It's a problem with her sister Eurayle as well. It's a problem with the female blanks. Boss Fight has said they are going to take steps to fix that down the line, probably adjusting the pegs a little bit on the stand in order to make up for it. I don't know. But anyways, Stheno as a whole is a really fantastic looking figure. Functionally, I have some issues just because she doesn't stand all that well. This skirt kind of restricts some of her motion. As badass as it looks, it can hamper the way she poses a little bit. The armor, like I said, is beautiful with all the flare kind of through here, and I love these gauntlets, these snakeskin kind of gauntlets that look like they're coiling around her arm. But she does have some restricted playability, and anybody who knows me knows I'm all about playability when it comes to these figures. I want some dynamic poses. I want figures that can get in some really interesting positions, and unfortunately Stheno cannot, just because of some of these restrictions. She looks beautiful standing there, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't have a whole lot of flexibility with what else she can do. She does come with some really great accessories. She's got the snake staff that you've been looking at this whole time, really ornate looking great cobra kind of wrapping around this bald staff with the head on top, and this great curved knife. Besides those two pieces of accessories plus her stand, that's pretty much all she comes with, which is fine. She doesn't really need a whole lot more. But that's essentially Stheno in a nutshell. It's a great looking figure. She looks really regal, really threatening, kind of a really overpowering presence on the shelf. I just have a little bit of issue with how top heavy she is. And that's like the perfect capper to end the review right there. It's just Stheno falling over because she's a little heavy up top. But honestly, I almost wouldn't have it any other way. You can kind of work around that. Her greatest feature is this crazy mane of wild snakes. So I'm glad they did it. Just collectors and displayers have to be cognizant of the problems that are there and work to fix it. So she did not quite set the standard for female figures. She's a great looking figure, but fortunately for all of us, there is another figure in this assortment who did set the standard for female figures, in my mind, which is pretty impressive when you consider all the Gorgons in the line are all female, and they've got those fantastic tails. The fact that a relatively, I hate to say ordinary, but a relatively, normal-looking female figure would actually be among one of my favorites. And I'm keeping the stand here because Eurayle also has bare feet. And we're just going to slip her right there. The little clasps help her more because she's not quite as top-heavy.
Eurayle was originally the second eldest of the three Gorgon sisters and obviously shared the same parents as her siblings mentioned earlier in the video, 4 Seasons Stheno. Boss Fight made her the youngest in their story and have also changed the spelling of her name slightly, as the Y and the A have been switched around. She shared a similar look to Stheno, nothing like the beauty boss fight have made here, but I really like the way they have interpreted these characters in their own canon for the toy line. All the Gorgon sisters have the ability to turn anyone into stone with their gaze, so there isn't much else historically to mention here. I would like to add that Eurayle is my favourite figure ever, and if I could marry a toy, this would be wifey. Let's hear what Justin has to say.
Eurayle right there. Again, like I said, she's relatively, and again, I'm not going to say ordinary, but she looks like a normal character. You can, if you look at her head, you can kind of see the fact that her hair is still crazy wild snakes, just a little bit tamer because she's younger than her sister. You can kind of explain that away as the fact that her hair hasn't had a chance to really grow into the crazy wild mane of serpents like Stheno has. You can kind of really get a look at the figure as a whole. This figure does not come with those clear clasps for her feet on the stand. Those come with the skeletons. I'm just using them because they help the female figures with their bare feet, help them to stand. There's a certain, she's one of the nicest action figures I've actually posed and play with. It's tough to explain, but experienced collectors can often just point out a particular look and feel of a figure that isn't exactly measurable, but you can't get enough of posing, playing, and experimenting with a particular action figure that just moves right, I guess you could say. Just feels like she poses and balances and just looks excellent in pretty much any way you slice it. And that's really where Eurayle kind of comes from. She just feels fantastic. The joints are just tight enough. They're not too tight. They're rigid but smooth, allowing for really flexibility, terrific poses. The sculpt of the figure is simple but elegant. Where Stheno was kind of the elder sorceress, Eurayle looks like the young, impulsive sister who is rash and prone to unexpected outbursts. She just looks and displays with near perfection. You can see kind of the snake bands at her legs and her arms. Those are all individual, removable kind of plastic snake bands, which actually manage to stay on pretty well, even as you pose her. Like, I can put her in all sorts of different positions, and the snake bands, I'm going to take her out of the stand for a second. The snake bands still pose pretty well, and even if they don't, it's easy enough to kind of adjust them. But she doesn't suffer really any of the top heaviness of Stheno. Like the other female figure, she's got these great rocker ankles, which should help stand her up a little bit. So she is very well articulated, moves very nicely, great range of motion in all of these joints. I like that she looks kind of wild and unpredictable. She really is kind of that youngest, most aggressive sister that you don't really know what she's got up her sleeve. But yeah, she is a really fantastic figure, and I say how well the snake bands stay on, and then one of them comes flying off, but anyway, they slip right back on really easily. You can see a couple of the weapons she's holding with her. She's got this snake blade, two different snake blades with two different lengths, two different what's called snake twists, also with two different lengths. And those are kind of her main weapons, which is really neat. They're kind of elegant, more extravagant weapons than the typical swords and axes and shields and stuff that some of the others come with. So that kind of lends to her mystique, so to speak. She grips all of her weapons really, really well. She's extremely posable. And she's, like I said, she's just got that look and feel of a figure that is built well and really plays well. But she maintains all of her positions very nicely. And is just a really excellent looking figure. So she is kind of a standout in the entire line for me, even among all of the regular Gorgons, which obviously have their own appeal with that engineered snake tail. But she still remains one of my favorite figures of the entire line, which is really saying a lot because the entire line is pretty spectacular. So that's Eurayle, and next we're going to take a look at the Amazon Warrior.
We already covered the Amazon myth in a previous video, so go and give that a watch if you so wish. This version is basically a repaint with gold armour and lighter skin, but I'll let Justin get into the details.
Last but certainly not least, we're going to take a look at the Amazon Warrior, which is actually a Wave 4 release. Eurayle was Wave 3, Stheno was Wave 2. I'm kind of jumping from wave to wave here. But like I said, I'm kind of reviewing them in those horizontal lines across the back of the package, kind of grouping common themes together. This first set of reviews was all about the ladies, the non-snake ladies, or the kind of non-snake ladies. We looked at Stheno, we looked at Eurayle, and now we're looking at the Amazon warrior. And if you folks have composed yourselves after giggling uncontrollably at the fact that I was remarking about all the different positions you could get Eurayle in, let's get serious for a second here and take a look at this Amazon warrior, which is a really fantastic figure, another great female figure from Boss Fight Studio. We had a pretty good idea what to expect here. I did a video review on the Amazon Elite Warrior, which was an exclusive to both Kokomo Toys and All the Cool Stuff. I posted that review a short while ago, thanks to Chris from the Full Force podcast. So because I reviewed that figure, I kind of knew what to expect with this figure. They are essentially the same figure structurally. I believe the head's a little bit different, and I can remove this Spartan helmet so you can kind of see what this head looks like. And obviously the Elite Warrior's got the darker skin and the really strong contrast with the silver armor and the black leather skirt, where the standard Amazon Warrior's got the gold armor and the brown skirt right here and right here. Interestingly, if you've looked at VitruvianFacts.com, you'll notice that there are two sets of female armor. There's the Gorgon armor and the Amazon armor, and one would think the Amazon would come with the Amazon armor, but you can tell by this little sigil right here at her breastplate that this is actually the Gorgon armor that she comes with, and apparently the Amazons were supposed to be shipped with the Amazon armor, but unfortunately there was a little bit of a factory snafu, and the majority, if not all of them, got shipped with the actual Gorgon armor. There are some Elite Warriors out there, the exclusive figures that actually have the Gorgon armor too, but supposedly they're able to fix many of those and get those the Amazon armor they're supposed to come with. So that's an interesting little side effect, or side note in relation to the Amazon. And as you can see, I've been kind of focusing in on some interesting parts of the figure. Most notably, I really like this sword strap kind of on the back of her skirt, which we saw with the Elite Warrior as well, that she can slide her sword into. The polished shine on the armor is just really fantastic. It was really great with the silver armor. It looks just as good with the gold. The tattoos along her arms and legs are really intricate, really nicely done. Her armor is not clasped there, but it should be. She's got the great deco on the shield. Same deco as the Elite Warrior version had, only that one was in silver, where this one is in gold. And the Amazon is just a really fantastic figure. She's exceptionally posable. She's obviously got the same female buck underneath there that Eurayle had and that Stheno has, but it's all about kind of what lies on top, where Eurayle kind of had the ragged cloth top and skirt, which didn't restrict much posability. Same with the Amazon. She's obviously got the sleeveless chest armor and the arm gauntlets, all the same gauntlets as the Gorgons come with. So she's extremely well posable. She's got some great weapons, has her medium sword and her short sword. Very, very nice figure. Personally, I think I probably slightly prefer the Elite Warrior version, just because I really like that silver and black. But this version is cool too. She works really well in the stand. She's got these sandaled feet instead of the bare feet, so she doesn't suffer from those same issues that the other figures suffered from. I mentioned the swords. I mentioned this. She comes with the same helmet as the Spartan, the standard Spartan helmet. You can tell what the Spartan helmet is. It's got this little tail on the back, and it doesn't have kind of the crisscross etchings there. If it has the crisscross etchings, it's actually the Myrmidon helmet. This is the Spartan helmet. I'm full of all sorts of the useless information since I've been spending hours of my life developing the Vitruvian Facts website. I kind of have learned to tell the differences between these body parts. But anyway, this is a really, really terrific figure. I said at the beginning of the review, I'm extremely ecstatic about how much attention Boss Fight is paying to female figures in their toy line, and the Amazon is certainly no exception. One cool thing about designing this extremely well-articulated and versatile figure buck is that pretty much any armor you put on top of it is just going to be really awesome, and the Amazon is certainly no exception to this. She is really posable, really nicely designed, really flexible, looks great among the Spartans, looks great with the Elite Warrior counterpart. Her helmet slides on and off really nicely. The war paint on her face is spectacular. She is just a really, really enjoyable figure altogether. And you'll find that this first kind of assortment of figures is just great all around. I mean, Eurayle and the Amazon, and I keep calling her Eurayle. You just watch; it's going to be Eurayle. I guess I don't know. I should really research this stuff before I go on video proclaiming it to be true. You know, you would think that would be something that I would do, but that is basically a look at these first 3 figures that I got in the second shipment of the Vitruvian Hacks line. Spectacular female figures, really intricately well designed. All 3 of them come with some great accessories, really versatile. Stheno is probably my least favorite of the bunch, which is really funny because she looks the most impressive, but she just doesn't play or display quite as flawlessly as the others. And we recently found out just this past weekend at MegaCon that there's actually another new Amazon coming out, an Amazon Commander. I'm not even going to attempt to say her name right now because I will completely butcher it. But according to Wikipedia, she is a potential past love interest of Achilles, daughter of Ares and the Amazon Queen, and I'm really looking forward to getting her in our collection. And once she starts getting closer to release, I see myself picking up some more of these Amazons just to build up the army a little bit. I've kind of amassed a small group of Spartans just by default. I'm going to have to do the same thing for the Amazons just because, what good is having an Amazon Queen or an Amazon Commander without a team of Amazons for her to lead? So anyway, these figures are really spectacular. If you don't have any yet, you should go to bossfightshop.com. They're still on what's called pre-order, but they are getting very, very close to being full-on orders. Basically, while a bunch of them were at MegaCon this weekend, they had one person stay home just packing pre-orders, trying to get all caught up on all the store stock, so that eventually these can shift from pre-order to just flat-out order, where you buy them, they ship them, and you get them really quickly. They have been shipping pretty quickly anyway. So hopefully they're getting to an even better place now. But that is my look at the second shipment of Vitruvian Hacks, Part 1, with Stheno, Eurayle, and the Amazon Warrior. Expect many more to come. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please throw me a like. Consider subscribing to my channel. There's going to be a lot of Vitruvian Hacks content on here. Obviously, plenty of G.I. Joe content as well. Maybe I'll even touch on some Masterpiece Transformers from time to time. And so I hope you've enjoyed what you're watching. Thanks again to Chris from the Full Force Podcast for his help in putting this baby together. And please subscribe. And if you didn't like what you see, leave me a comment. Let me know what you didn't like, and try to make these better. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks for watching this review by Justin Bell of GeneralsJoes.com and What's on Joe Mind, and from myself, Chris McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80 from the Full Force. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and let us know what you think on any of our numerous social networking platforms. Goodbye, and see you next time for another Generals Review.